The Dallas Cowboys aren't sitting back this offseason, and if you thought things would quiet down before training camp, think again. Moves are being made, and one of them just raised some serious eyebrows. The team just released defensive tackle Justin Rogers, and yeah, that one caught a lot of fans off guard. Especially because, let's be honest, defensive tackle is still one of the thinnest spots on the roster. So why let go of a position you're already short on? That's the kind of decision that makes you stop and wonder. What are the Cowboys planning behind the scenes? This isn't your typical roster cleanup. Rodgers was a player many fans had their eyes on. Young, with potential, and at a position where the Cowboys have more questions than answers. Cutting him now suggests that either the front office has seen something they didn't like in his development, or, and here's where it gets interesting, they're clearing space to bring someone else in. That's often how these quiet, summer moves work. A cut today could mean a signing tomorrow, and the Cowboys might be getting ready to shuffle things again. Think about it. We've seen other teams, like the Ravens, make aggressive moves to build serious depth. They just added names like DeAndre Hopkins and cornerback Jair Alexander. Baltimore's playing to win, stacking talent across the board. The Cowboys, though quieter, may have a strategy of their own, one that involves patience and timing. This front office doesn't usually act without a plan, even if it frustrates fans in the moment. Still, if you're looking at this release and scratching your head, you're not alone. So here's the big question for you. Did this move surprise you too? Drop a yes or no in the comments. And while you're at it, let me know who you think the Cowboys might be eyeing to replace Justin Rogers. If you love this kind of inside look at roster decisions and want to stay on top of every twist and turn, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're on the road to 14,000 subscribers, and with your support, we'll hit that mark in no time. Oh, and don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps push Cowboys content to more fans like you. Let's keep going because this was just one of a few quiet but curious moves that hint at something brewing in Dallas. Now, speaking of quiet but curious moves, there's another cut that might have slipped under the radar but tells us a lot if we're paying attention. Alongside Justin Rogers, the Cowboys also parted ways with cornerback Luke Gifford, or at least that's who we think Mark Holmes was referring to, though the exact name got a little jumbled. Either way, the message is clear. The Cowboys are trimming the roster and possibly lining up something bigger. These aren't just random names getting axed. They're depth guys, fringe players, the kind who usually stick around through camp unless there's a calculated reason to make space. And that brings us to a deeper question. Are these small moves just housekeeping? Or is the front office making room for a new addition? A veteran presence on the defensive line, maybe? Or a surprise free agent at cornerback? It's not uncommon to see late off-season shifts where one player's release signals another's arrival. Teams do this to manage the 90-man roster and stay cap flexible. And the Cowboys, as always, like to keep things tight until the very last minute. They love finding value in June and July when other teams are sleeping. Here's another layer to think about. With defensive tackle being such a glaring need, it's not just about who they cut. It's about who they haven't signed yet. There's still time before camp starts, and some interesting names are still floating in free agency. If the Cowboys make a move, it'll probably be low cost and under the radar, but don't mistake quiet for passive. This front office has a long history of pulling off late summer moves that become major talking points once the pads come on. So, if they're clearing room now, we might be one step away from something more meaningful. But what do you think the strategy is here? Do you believe the Cowboys are freeing up space for a new addition? Or are they just fine-tuning the bottom of the depth chart before camp? Let me know your take in the comments. And hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this breakdown and want more of this type of analysis, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're chasing that 14,000 subscriber goal, and every click gets us closer. Also, hit that like button if you're ready for the Cowboys to make one more big move before training camp. Now let's dive into the part that really gets fans talking. Who's next? Because when a team starts cutting players, even lower-tier guys, it usually means there's a list of names being watched closely behind the scenes. And according to Mark Holmes, two guys that might be skating on thin ice are Paris Campbell and Deuce Vaughn. That's right, two names that, just a few months ago, had fans buzzing for very different reasons. Let's start with Paris Campbell. This was a guy many believed could be the deep threat the Cowboys needed. A low-risk signing, sure, but with real upside if he could stay healthy and finally tap into his potential. He didn't get much of a shot with the Eagles, and when Dallas picked him up, there was some quiet optimism. But now, it feels like he's fading fast. Once OTAs got underway, the buzz around Campbell just disappeared. Meanwhile, Jalen Tolbert's stock has been on the rise, and there's been chatter around other young wideouts. That WR room is crowded, and Campbell seems to be falling lower and lower on the depth chart. Then there's Deuce Vaughn. Man, what a story he was when he got drafted. The emotional moment with his dad, the excitement of having a dynamic change of pace back on the roster, it had all the makings of a fan favorite. But here's the hard truth. The NFL is ruthless when it comes to roster decisions. And Deuce, despite the great storyline, hasn't produced enough on the field. Just 127 total rushing yards, and now he's barely getting any reps. With the Cowboys adding more depth at running back, he's clearly being squeezed out. It's the kind of situation where a player might get cut but hang around on the practice squad, and that might be the best-case scenario for Deuce at this point. The takeaway here? No matter how good the story or the potential, the Cowboys are showing they're willing to make tough decisions if it means improving the bottom of the roster. This is the phase where sentimentality takes a back seat to competition, and that's exactly what you want heading into camp. But let's throw it to you. If you had to keep just one, Paris Campbell or Deuce Vaughn, who are you riding with? Drop your pick in the comments, and let's see who wins that vote. Also, if you're still watching and enjoying this content, now's the perfect time to subscribe and join the Cowboys News TV family. We're pushing hard to hit that 14,000 subscriber mark, and your support means the world. And don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more fans like you find these updates. All right, now this next part is a bit heavier but important to discuss because it reminds us how fragile a career can be. Henry Ruggs' name came up in the video, and honestly, it's a stark reminder of how things can go sideways fast. You remember him, right? First-round draft pick, tons of potential, but his off-field mistake changed everything. Driving at 156 miles per hour and causing a tragic accident that ended someone's life. It's heartbreaking and sobering. Mark Holmes touched on how Ruggs has been trying to make amends, even sharing his story in what felt like a kind of apology tour. It's hard not to feel for someone who had everything going for him, only to lose it all because of one moment. For Cowboys fans, it's a cautionary tale that success and talent aren't enough without responsibility. The NFL is full of stories like this, some that end better than others, but it's a reminder that these players are human, with real consequences for their actions. While Ruggs is not on the Cowboys roster, the mention fits into the bigger picture. The Cowboys and every team have to balance talent with character and risk. Sometimes, it's not just about who can play, but who can handle the pressure and responsibility that comes with the job. For the Cowboys, cutting players like Justin Rogers and potentially others is part of managing this balance. It also makes you wonder, how much do off-field issues factor into roster decisions? We don't always see the behind the scenes, but these situations definitely leave a mark on the culture of a team. And with training camp around the corner, the pressure ramps up for every player to prove they deserve a spot, not just on talent, but on trust and professionalism. What's your take on this? How much should character and off-field behavior impact roster choices? Drop a comment. I'd really like to hear your opinion. And hey, if you're finding these insights useful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any Cowboys news. We're so close to 14,000 subscribers, and your support is what keeps this channel going. Smash that like button if you agree that character counts just as much as skill in the NFL. So now that we've covered the players who've been cut, the potential names on the bubble, and even the sobering reminder that not every NFL story has a happy ending, let's zoom out and talk about what this all means for the Dallas Cowboys as we head toward training camp. When a team starts making cuts, especially in positions where depth is already a concern, like defensive tackle, it usually signals that something else is coming. Either they're clearing space for incoming talent, or they're shifting their strategy based on what they've seen in OTAs and early off-season work. The release of Justin Rogers is surprising to some fans because the defensive line hasn't exactly been the strongest unit on this roster. Cutting a DT when you're thin in that area, it raises eyebrows. But sometimes it's about fit. Maybe Rogers just didn't show enough burst, power, or consistency to make the case for himself, and the coaches feel confident in other guys. Or maybe, just maybe, there's another move in the works. A signing, a trade. Or even a hidden gem waiting in the wings. Same goes for players like Paris Campbell and Deuce Vaughn. These are fan-favorite storylines, no doubt. Campbell came in with some buzz and hopes he could be a deep threat option. But as we've seen, others like Jalen Tolbert have made stronger impressions. And Deuce, man, we all love the underdog story, especially with his connection to the team through his dad. But the NFL is a business, and when you're competing for 53 spots, sentiment doesn't always win. Mark Holmes said something that really stuck with me. It's not just the stars that fans root for during training camp. It's those fringe guys, the ones grinding it out, trying to beat the odds. And when they get cut, yeah, it stings. You follow their journey, see the effort, and then boom, they're gone. That's the tough reality of NFL life. So here's what I want to know from you. Who are you pulling for at training camp this year? Is there a dark horse player you think could surprise everyone and make the roster? Drop your predictions in the comments, and let's see who has the best eye for talent. And while you're at it, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have that bell turned on. We're pushing hard to hit 14,000 subscribers, and with your help, we'll get there. Hit that like button too if you're ready for training camp and want the inside scoop every step of the way. This season's just getting started and the drama is already heating up. I'll be right here with you, breaking down every move, every surprise, and every story. Let's ride this out together, Cowboys Nation.